Hi, everyone. We now have our second speaker, Juliette, who is the marketing assistant at Teens in AI. They're a queer and disabled business student who is passionate about increasing accessibility in online spaces. They love creative projects and have a massive love for animals. Juliette will be talking about their journey in STEM and the challenges that had to be overcome to get where they are today. Great. So you can get
Perfect.
started.
Thank you, Sophie. So I have got a PowerPoint, so let me So hello everyone, welcome to my presentation today. As Sophie mentioned, my name is Juliette. So I'm just going to kind of go through a quick couple of things today. So I'm going to be talking about my journey into STEM and my passion for STEM, a project that I worked on whilst at secondary school, and then a bit about my passion for accessibility before we open up for some question time at the end. So without further ado, let's get into it. So my journey in STEM started in 2015 when I joined my secondary school. As soon as I started, I signed up for all the clubs I could possibly think of, including STEM Club with an awesome teacher called Mr. Davids, who is absolutely amazing, who is also super supportive. And then in 2017, I was entered into the Optimist challenge, which is a challenge which basically tries to get young people, especially females, involved in tech and STEM. So it's kind of like a hackathon type thing where you have to get given a brief. So our brief was you had to solve a third world problem, kind of like I believe it was related to the Sustainable Development Goals. And you have to develop a project, and then you get to pitch your project at the end if you make it through to the finals. So me and my friend entered in and we made it through to the finals, which was then in the March of 2018. And then in about 2018, 2019, I decided to take a step back from my STEM club. I was kind of like, school's getting quite a lot with my GCSEs coming up and stuff, so I decided to take a break, which was a really hard decision to make. And then in 2020, I left secondary school. It got cut short due to COVID, but I started college and I started studying business, and this is where I fell in love with marketing. So then in 2022, in early February, I was out for a walk with my best friend, and I had a job advert at the time, like a job alert on my LinkedIn for any like marketing jobs and stuff. And I was out with her and we were just walking along, and I realised that I had a job advert pop up on my LinkedIn, and it was for a company called Teens in AI. I'd never heard of them before. Started researching the company when we got back to college, and then I applied, and then 2 days later I got offered a job. And I just think that the organisation is such an amazing organisation to work with. I love everything that Elena and the team are doing here at Teens in AI, and yeah, it's just an absolute privilege to be part of the team. So bringing it back to my Optimist challenge project, so this was a project that we worked on. It's called Edubot. My graphic design skills at that point were great, so excuse the logo, but basically what it was a voice activated device, kind of like an Alexa or a Google Home, which would sit inside a cardboard box. There's the red button on the top of the cardboard box there, and you would press that and it would don't know why it's jump forward. So you would press the button and it would read out some information for you. So basically what the Edubot was trying to solve was the lack of access that females in third world developing countries had. So we were trying to get more people involved in education, especially targeting females. So the Edubot would basically go into classrooms where it wouldn't need a teacher, and it'd be solar panelled, so you wouldn't need electricity either. So it would take very minimal setting up to do. And you can basically, it would read out information for you, and then it would quiz you on the information afterwards. So the idea of it was that kids could learn the information, and it had basic English, maths, and some local knowledge as well. So we're trying to improve the employability skills of the people from there. So our team did really well, and we made it through to the finals, and we came third place in the finals, which me and my friend were really proud of, because we had worked very hard on this project, and it was an amazing project to be part of. And yeah, I'm super grateful that I was able to be part of it. So moving on, we're going to be talking about my passion for accessible spaces. So I am autistic, and that basically just means that my brain works in a different way to everyone else's. I'm also dyslexic, so again, my brain just works in a different way to everyone else's. And so basically what those two things mean for me is that I am a very creative person. I do struggle with quite a bit, especially understanding things. So I may need things reiterated and stuff. But once I get it, I'm very passionate about it. So if I'm passionate about something, I can retain huge amounts of information very easily, which comes in as a super strong point, especially with school projects. So like I did a project where we had to research and then present to JP Morgan. So we had to develop a pitch of what we think the future of banking will look like 25 years time. And so for that project, I had basically done a load of research and memorized all the research, so that when it came to the question time at the end, I was able to kind of reiterate back all the information and have it in like a really easy to understand format for the judges, which gave us the competitive advantage, and we ended up winning that competition, which was great. So because of my creativity, because of my neurodiversity, I found that I love design. So when I was in secondary school, I was studying media, and kind of fell in love with it. Didn't really know where I wanted to go with it, and so I chose business, because I was quite good at business, and I was like, this will be a natural fit. And then kind of as I went down the business route, I kind of missed the design, and I missed having teachers who were really, really kind of, what's the word I'm trying to say? I missed my STEM teacher a lot, basically, because he was just the most awesome person. Like every single STEM lesson was so fun. Like we just had the most fun ever. He would play like on like these retro game consoles and stuff. He would play his guitar for the whole session, and it was basically like the sky's the limit when you're creating projects. Like as long as you're happy to build it, you can make it. Which was super awesome, because it kind of set off this creativity and this spark in your head of kind of the infinite opportunities that you can do. So where can I go with this project? Like, what can I do? Like, and because there was no one placing these restraints on you, you kind of just had free access. Like, as long as you're happy to make it, you can create it. And that for me was like a massive turning point, where I was like, actually, I can do something cool in this industry. I could change the world, basically. So that is my mission, is to change the world in some way. I don't quite know how yet. I know that I want to go into being an accessibility consultant for companies, which basically means I would go into a company and help them kind of understand how they can become more accessible and stuff. I don't know yet whether that's going to be as a design type role, or if I'm going to be able to help tech companies, for example, like improve their accessibility. So in September, I am going to university to study digital media design. So basically creating apps, websites, virtual reality experiences, and that kind of thing. So I'm really excited for that, and I'm really excited to see kind of what the future brings. I have a lot of fellow disabled friends who are also in my community, whose voices I just really want to uplift, because I think that so often disabled people are left out of conversation, especially when it comes to like kind of, there's a lot of stereotypes in the industry, and it's very much the industry caters for certain types of disabilities. So for example, they cater for blind people, by putting like visual descriptions, for example, and that's great for people who have like very low vision and are needing to understand the image a bit more. But for someone who's colorblind, for example, like differentiating between two very similar colors, that's another issue which just isn't talked about. It's still under the umbrella of visually impaired, and it's a disability that's kind of often left out. And dyslexia, for example, like over 50% of people who have dyslexia struggle with like text and color combinations. So for example, throughout this PowerPoint, you'd notice that I hardly used white background with black text, and that's because that's the hardest combination for many dyslexic people to read. So it's stuff like that, that little changes that I think a lot of companies can be making in their spaces. And I'm very aware that I have just rambled on for the past 10-15 minutes. And I am aware that I have talked very fast. So if anyone has any questions, please leave them in the chat. And yeah, thank you so much, Sophie and the team, for having me. I feel absolutely honoured to be here. And these are kind of like my socials and stuff, like if you want to follow me or reach out or anything. And yeah, so I'll open it up to any questions now.
Thank you so much, Juliette. That was a really interesting talk to be able to hear about your journey and how you got into STEM and like digital media. Okay, so we have a question from Maureen already. What are future plans for developing the accessibility? That's a really good question.
Yes, that is a great question. Thank you, Maureen. My future plans for developing accessibility, that is a really good question. I think that my future plans for developing accessibility is kind of, I want to involve as many disabled people in the conversation as possible. And I kind of just want to make it as inclusive as possible, and not just focus on the kind of like, not the kind of main disabilities, but like the most thought about disabilities, for example, like being blind, for example. So I want to create a more inclusive place where everyone feels welcome, and we can like build a community rather than it just being kind of like companies creating these projects but not really having many different people consulting on them who would like find it helpful. And I don't just want to create accessible projects, I want to create universally accessible projects. So projects that don't just help disabled people, but projects that also help like other people, like able-bodied people, like for example, like smart devices, like Google Home, for example, that helps able-bodied people because it makes their lives more convenient. But for disabled people, for example, who are in bed all the time and may not have as much mobility, they can turn off their lights from their bed and stuff, and it just makes their lives so much easier. So it's kind of, I want to go down that route of kind of universal design where it's helping everyone. Yeah, I don't know if that answered your question at all.
I think that was a great answer. We have already a few more questions. If you hadn't joined Teens in AI, what other organizations, opportunities would you have considered?
Wow, that is a great question. So I was doing the marketing for a wedding company last year for 6 months, and I really enjoyed that. And sadly, that came to an end in December time. So I was still lifeguarding at my local sports centre, and I was doing that until recently. So I don't know really. I kind of would have just gone with the flow and just kind of seen what popped up. But I'm really glad that Teens in AI did pop up. And I saw the notification whilst out on my walk, because yeah, I absolutely love my job and I think it is pretty much the coolest job. Like whenever I'm talking to my friends about my job, I just get so excited and they're like, Juliette, you need to calm down now, like we get that you're excited, and I'm like, but look at these cool projects that we're running, like how cool is this? So my Instagram stories on my private story are literally just me blabbering about like how excited or how good my day at work's been. So I'm really, really glad that I did make the decision to apply for Teens in AI. And at the time I didn't have kind of like as much experience as they kind of wanted. So I'm really, really glad that Theodora and Elena took me on despite that. And yeah, so to be honest, I don't really know where I would have been if I hadn't joined Teens in AI, but yeah, I'm very glad that I did.
Yeah, I think it's definitely such a challenge at our age to find somewhere to go without very much experience.
Yes.
Yeah,
because everyone needs experience, and
yeah.
it's like you can't get any experience without any experience. Like
So,
yeah.
But yeah, we're breaking the cycle here.
Exactly.
Okay. Maureen asked another question. Okay, what are the big benefits that you get from AI, or what is your advice to ones that don't know the benefits of AI?
So for me, like with my autism, I find it very like I am tired all of the time. So I have like controls on my lights and stuff where it knows my sleep patterns and stuff, like I set timers and things where it kind of like slows down like the lights and stuff, and it like changes the colors and stuff if I told the app that I'm like feeling tired, for example. Like the lights will change and stuff. So that's kind of just one small example. And as far as kind of like teaching others about the benefits of AI, I think Teens in AI is an awesome organization. I'm always learning more and more about the benefits of AI and kind of all the cool projects that are going on in the world. Like the inspiration talks this week have been so awesome and really eye-opening. And I really, really enjoyed learning about everyone's like different career paths and stuff, and like how AI is helping their lives and stuff, and making a difference in the communities that they're working in. So yeah, I don't really know if that's answered your question at all, but I think definitely keep up to date with kind of what's going on like a global scale with AI projects, like read the news and stuff. I know that on, for example, BBC News app, you can set like your kind of preferences of what sort of news you want to read. So I know that technology is one of those things, so I have mine to technology as well. So I get like notifications specifically tailored to that. So news apps are a great way to do that. Listening to podcasts, kind of just exploring kind of what sort of AI you're into and what sort of AI you're interested in, and then kind of just research more, I guess.
I think that was a great answer. Okay, what are the benefits you get from, what are the benefits you are getting from the accessibility?
Yeah, so Maureen, do you kind of, what, I don't really understand what you mean by that question.
Your answering skills are great.
Thank you. Yes, I will put up my contact screen. Give me 2 seconds.
I understood the question initially as what are the benefits you get from your accessibility?
Yes, so for me, the benefits of creating accessible spaces is that I find so much enjoyment from it. First of all, I really, really enjoy seeing like how I can change the world, and seeing the impact that like kind of my work is having. And then on a kind of like a personal note, I really the benefits I get from working with accessibility is I never got like professional support and stuff like during school and stuff, because I was always seen as quite high functioning. So I've kind of learned to kind of find my own way through it all and stuff, and find what's worked for me and stuff. And I think kind of having conversations with my friends who also struggle with some of the same things and struggle with different things as well. It's kind of just, it's opened up so many different conversations that you would never have had through having these shared experiences and kind of being able to be open and talk to each other about your struggles, and then find solutions to that. I think that's kind of just, it's definitely changed the dynamics of friendships a lot, because you're able to kind of connect with people on such a deeper level. That sounds really cringy, but and then kind of like as well in my personal life, kind of just kind of accepting that I am who I am and like trying to stop masking, because I spent a lot of my time like hiding and stuff, whereas now I am known for my very, very bright and funky trousers and like just talking all the time about everything, so I get very excited about things. So I kind of just have kind of given up caring type thing about what other people think. So with that, it's kind of knowing my body and knowing kind of what I can do and what I'm really good at as well, which has come from like my passion for accessibility, knowing how I can kind of help people and change the world. I don't know, that answer made no sense. I'm very sorry.
No, it did. I think that was a good answer. Yeah, no, it does make sense, and the message was really important as well, that instead of like hiding away from things and not bringing up the conversation, but doing the opposite and embracing it and getting the conversation started so that it does become more common and to discuss it. And I think
and once the conversation starts as well, it's like a fire. Like once one person starts a conversation, then it becomes commonplace for those people to have conversations with other people about it, and then it kind of starts this massive chain movement where everyone's starting talking about these issues and stuff, and you kind of realize like you're not actually that alone, like you're not the only one going through these things, like so many other people are. And just by opening up that conversation and starting that conversation with the first person, it's a massive chain reaction, like dominoes. And I think that is so cool, and I love having conversations with people about it, because I just I love seeing the chain reaction that comes as a result of that.
I agree. Mufida has a question. As young people who are trying to make a career in the tech industry, what is your major advice that you could give as a person who has already passed the stage?
Yes, so this is a great question. I wouldn't say that I've kind of like made it into the tech industry yet. I still am very much like kind of like baby steps towards it. I think the most important thing is just going for it. Like build up your skills, like do online courses, because online courses, oh my days, they are the game changer. Like find courses on LinkedIn, for example. There is Springpod virtual work experiences. I took part in those, highly recommend, massive supporter. Those are all free. Like Microsoft have some great ones, Google have some great ones. Like build up your skills, and then from there build up your portfolio. So build up projects that you're doing and showing off. They don't actually have to be projects for anything real. Like I've made up several companies and created a whole branding project and like big portfolio for them and stuff. Completely fake companies, but the work I produced then put together in my portfolio, which was great, because then I had a website which I could have all my work on, which I could then show to employers to go, look at this work that I've done, like this is my examples of past work, and like being able to give that to Theodora and going like, here we go, like this is some examples of like my work, for example, was kind of a massive help, because then you have those projects behind you, and even if you aren't able to do masses of work, like even if you just do like 10 minutes a week of like online learning, just like learn some new skills, build up those projects that you have behind you. They don't have to be massive projects, just little ones. And then like over time, you're going to build up your confidence and build up your skills. And then when you're at a place where you feel like you have kind of enough skills, and you feel confident enough in yourself, just take the leap and go for like your job applications. Like start having a look at job applications and see what kind of job you want in the future. See what your dream job is. So for me, mine's an accessibility consultant. Like that is my dream job. And then once you've found your dream job, you then look at like the job descriptions, for example, and then like how can you get to that job? Like what skills do you need to have learned in order to get to those jobs? And that might mean that you have to start from like a lower level and kind of work your way up in the industry. And even if you don't have kind of all of like the relevant skills or the relevant knowledge and stuff, like still just take the leap and go for it. Because if you have like a good personality, 9 times out of 10 the employers are going to be impressed. Like if you can hold a conversation well and you can kind of show them that you know what you're talking about, do your research on the company before you go for an interview with them, to kind of impress them, kind of, and then afterwards, if you're old enough, of course, connect with them on LinkedIn. Amazing tool. And yeah, that's kind of my tips.
Yeah, I love what you said about just building the consistency and making it a small habit to keep working on that passion or whatever it is you are aiming for every day. Okay, so last question then from what would you advise those who have not yet found their passion or career path?
That is a very good question. I think that just continue doing what you like whatever makes you happy. It doesn't have to be like a massive thing. It doesn't have to be like a massive hobby which you've devoted like hundreds of pounds into. It can be as simple as going for a run, or like you really like spending time with animals. Like then like find what you enjoy doing and what gives you energy, and then kind of spend more time doing that, and naturally you will find kind of what you are passionate about, and kind of like then you can hone in on your skills. Like once you've found what particular area of that activity you enjoy, then you can start looking for other activities that are kind of the same. So for me, I found I really liked the design element of media, and I really liked the creativity that STEM gave me, and being able to build projects and stuff and having something to display at the end of it. So I kind of combined the two, and started creating websites, for example, because it gives me a physical project which I can show to someone at the end, even though it's a digital project, but it's still a project that I can show to someone. And it's kind of, I can kind of feel it's that sense of achievement as well afterwards. And I think that's so cool. So I think just kind of doing what you love, as cringe as it sounds, you don't have to have everything worked out in your head. Like you don't have to know what you want to do in 25 years time, because chances are it's going to change. Give it like 3 weeks, your mind will have changed. Like I only found out about accessibility consultant after I had looked like at different jobs since I was about 7. So I wanted to be I was dead set on being a vet when I was 7. I had created a business plan. I had a ring binder of like these floor plans. I was dead set. I had my whole business plan. I had like the documents with like the floor plan, the designs. I'd thought of everything. Like I'd spent so much time on this project, and then I realized I was allergic to shedding animals, so that one was out the window. And then back in September, when I was applying to universities, I kind of looked at everything from media and marketing. I even looked at I looked at a marine photography course down in Falmouth in Cornwall, and then realised that I'm actually very claustrophobic and snorkeling masks probably won't be the best. And then I kind of found digital media, and I was like, this course is amazing. Like this is so cool. And then yeah, and then from there I kind of started researching where the course could take me and stuff, and that was purely just through kind of finding what I enjoyed doing. I knew that I liked creating, and yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I agree. In school, we don't really, like, they're expecting you to figure out and know what you want to do by the time you're
Yeah.
8 or like 16, choosing your A levels.
Yeah.
Insane. But then they also you don't have a taste of what each career path looks like, or
Yeah, definitely.
so yeah, I think also Renee gave some really good advice yesterday on the talk, which is on our YouTube channel, which you can watch.
Yes. Yes.
About just enjoying where you are in the present moment now, and not being too caught up and worried about what the future career needs to look like, because
yeah,
have everything figured out. It's going to change so many times. So yeah.
yeah,
okay.
Definitely. And also I think as well, there's such a societal expectation of you need to know what you want to do in life, otherwise you're going to be a failure. Like, yeah. And that's not the case at all. And I think school very much plays into that. It's like when I was at secondary school, it was kind of like sixth form is the only option, and then when it got to choosing, I was like, I don't really want to go to sixth form though. I want to go to college. I want to do this instead, and I kind of want to have a very different environment, but it wasn't kind of talked about whilst I was at school. So it's like with these careers as well, there's so many cool careers which just aren't talked about at school, and it just blows my mind because it's only traditional careers that are talked about in school. And it's like, if you don't fit into these kind of boxes of like you have to be very academic to do this and stuff, and it's just not true, and it kind of just turns people off from doing anything, like, because then you're like, well, I'm not academic, I don't really enjoy like studying really hard. Like for me, I found myself on a BTEC where I go in 3 days a week, and it's perfect for me because it's all coursework, and my degree is going to be all coursework and portfolio projects, so I don't have to do any exams. But I would never have even dreamt about going to uni if I went to like secondary school and stayed on there for the sixth form, because it just wouldn't have been something that I'd have even thought about. But doing kind of a vocational course and like more relaxed course and being in a different environment has very much like helped kind of find what I'm into. Yeah.
Yeah, I think definitely the system in the UK that's like you pick your subject and you stick with it till you figure out what your job is, then it's like not really giving the space for people to explore what exactly is interesting, rather than what they think they should be doing, which
and everything is kind of like, once you pick your GCSEs, it's like these are going to determine your whole life.
Yeah, everything is so much pressure when it's like it's really doesn't have to be that way. Like, it's just perspective. Like, if you just shift your perspective, you're like, oh, okay, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, like as soon as you move past that stage, you're like, why was I stressed about these? Like,
that happens.
They don't matter, like, at all. Like, of course, getting your basic qualifications is important. Like, get your qualifications, but at the same time, like, it's so much pressure. Like, it's put on people, and it doesn't make sense. Like, they're just a stepping stone to get to the next step in your life, and that's basically it.
Yeah, I think that was a great talk, great advice given.
Thank you. We've kind of gone all over the place today, so I think welcome to my ramblings.
I hope everyone enjoyed that. That is the end of our inspiration week now. I
think that was scary.
Great.
Thanks very much for having me, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope you enjoyed the talk.